Hi class, I've been wanting to make a video letting you know just a little bit more about our class and what to expect. However, I haven't been able to do that because I've been sick all week. So here it is, a little bit late, but hopefully it'll be helpful. One thing I wanted to go over is just the basic assignments and the syllabus and some of the things that are due and the point values and all of that. First off, I want to talk about the forums and what we're hoping for from them. So the forums are a place for us to dialogue back and forth. Each one is expecting different things, and that's all posted in the forum itself. So some require multiple responses, others don't, although the more dialogue, the better. The way that I'm going to be grading these, the point values are attached to your participation points. You'll see that in the syllabus. So for each week, there are 3 points available for participation, and you can earn those through the forums. So essentially, if you don't post anything, you'll get 0 participation points for that week, and also your attendance will be docked because of that. If you don't post much at all, if you just make like one sentence or a couple of sentences, or don't fulfill the requirements, then you'll get 1 point. If you post your original post and reply to one, you'll get 2 of the 3 points. And if you post your original post and reply to 2 other posts, then you'll get the full 3 as long as all of those posts are substantive, meaning that they further the dialogue in some way. They don't just say, hey, nice work, but maybe they pose a question or they follow up with some new ideas or some challenging thoughts. So those are just a few of my thoughts on the forums and the participation points. I'm going to interact with everyone in those forums. However, I probably won't respond to every post. Just like you won't be responding to all of them, nor will I. But I'll try to pose questions and encouragement and some direction along the way. Also, every week has 2 assignments due. A lot of those are essays, so we have 3 essays, and then the rest of them are creative assignments in one way or another. And I hope to post some videos or further explanation of each of those assignments. But I wanted to comment on the essays. So your first essay is due this Sunday. And if you take a look in Moodle or in the syllabus, you'll see that each essay has 5 bullet points that you need to fulfill. So I'm looking at pages 5 and 6 of our syllabus, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points. So I said 5, but actually it's been broken down into 6 for whatever reason in this syllabus. But I want to highlight that if you don't include all of those bullet points in your essay, then you're just automatically going to lose those points. So the best way for you to earn the best grade is by making sure you cover each of those 5 bullet points. Let's talk a little bit about the historical narrative essay, which we're probably working on as we speak or are preparing to over the weekend. So for all your essays, I'm going to be looking for an introductory paragraph just telling your reader what to expect, right? Drawing your reader in and letting me know what to expect in your essay. For the historical narrative essay, the first bullet point says, indicate the temporal, physical, and cultural settings of the narrative. So you're going to tell me when the story took place. You're going to tell me where it took place and what that place was like. So if you choose to write on Exodus, you'll likely tell me about Egypt and what it was like back when this story is taking place. And then you'll tell me about the cultural setting, things like marriage or slavery, things that are different from our time when compared with their time. So that's what the cultural setting is, things that are different between different cultures. The cover text talks quite a bit about that, but you'll want to write a paragraph on the setting, highlighting all 3 of its aspects, temporal, physical, and cultural. The next bullet point says, describe the main conflicts that drive the plot and the extent to which those conflicts are resolved at the end of the narrative. Carver talks about 3 different types of conflicts, character versus character, character versus environment, and character versus self or internal conflict. And in this section of your essay, you'll want to write at least one paragraph, maybe 2 or 3, on the main conflicts. So if you're writing for the Moses story, you may talk about Moses versus Pharaoh and the conflict that they have. And you'll want to identify the conflicts by name. You don't just want to say Moses and Pharaoh were fighting. You want to say that's a character versus character conflict. The next bullet point says analyze the function of the main characters in the narrative. So Carver talks about 4 types of characters: protagonist, antagonist, proponent, and foil. I want you to highlight who is each one of those characters. So again, for the Moses story, you may say Moses is the protagonist. Keep in mind, though, that each character may play different roles. So at one point, Moses may be the protagonist. At another point, he may be the antagonist. So you'll want to balance those and say maybe the Pharaoh changes roles or God changes roles along the way. So feel free to be flexible in your identification of the roles of each character. The next bullet point says indicate the protagonist, proponents, antagonists, and foils in the narrative, as well as which of these characters you most identify with. This is really a sub-point of the previous bullet point. So I already mentioned that you need to identify the main characters, but also want you to reflect a little bit personally which characters you connect with. Next bullet point says summarize the point of the narrative by answering these questions. What does the author seem to be interested in? And second, how is the original author's message reflected in the main theme of the passage? So for this part, you need to reflect on what the main point is, not what the subpoints are or just one of the aspects that you're interested in, but what do you think the main message is? Why did the author write what he wrote? And what impact was he trying to have on his readers? Finally, reflect on the effect this passage has on you. For this final part of your essay, I want you to write about how the main message impacts you, not how something else in the narrative impacts you. Don't reflect on a small piece of it or just some rabbit trail, but really try to connect the main message to your life. So you may say that the Moses story is about faith or about trust or about some other aspect of our relationship with God or something like that. You'll want to try to apply that to your life. Now, I recognize that not everybody in our class believes in God. Maybe we have some atheists, or maybe we have some people who don't believe in the Christian God or Jewish God. That's not important here. What we're looking for is you to reflect on how the message impacts you. So for an example, if you think the story is about faith, then you may say, well, I don't have faith in any particular God, but I believe faith is important as we have faith in ourselves and we have faith in our family or our friends, right? So that's just one way that you can take that self-reflection aspect. Hopefully that helps a little bit for this upcoming essay. Please send me any questions you have via email, or we can set up times to meet. These office hours may not work for everyone, but if you do want to talk face-to-face, so to speak, but electronically, I'm happy to set up a Skype meeting or a Google Hangouts meeting, or even a telephone call. Another note on our essays, I do hope or expect for APA standards to be used, so make sure you're using those. I'm not grading heavily on it, although references are vitally important. If you use information from any of the textbooks, then you need to provide a reference. So for an example, if you say the setting of the Exodus story is 1500 BCE, you need to tell me where you found that information. And a good rule of thumb is if you learn the information anytime since you began this class, then it needs to be referenced, right? So if it's not common knowledge, if you didn't know about it before you began this class, then you learned it somewhere and you need to provide a reference for where you learned that information. So that's vitally important. Let's see here. I think that is good for the narrative essay. Let's take a look at the next, the interview with a time traveler. So this may be challenging, but I'm hoping it is more fun than anything. So you're going to compose a list of questions, 8 total. that you would like to ask an Old Testament character. It can be any character from the Old Testament. And then you need to do research to figure out how your Old Testament character would answer those questions, right? So it does take a bit of research to figure out exactly how your Old Testament character would respond to your questions. And again, we're going to look for references. So if you do research and you find information, you need to provide a reference for where you're getting that information. All right, well, I'll save any more details for questions that you might have. If you do have any, please let me know.